Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maddie Jansen, and today for Nicole Gitsky. Dozens rallied this morning in downtown Bakersfield, demanding the district attorney release 2 women accused of murder.
Too many women and people are survivors of domestic violence and further survivors of the carceral state system.
Local advocates are calling for the district attorney to drop charges for Wendy Howard and Michaela Bowers. Howard was arrested last year after shooting and killing her husband, Callie Reese Pitts. Court documents state Howard said she confronted Pitts over his alleged molestation of their teenage daughter. Howard said during the argument, Pitts drove over her foot with an all-terrain vehicle. She said she felt threatened, pulled a handgun from her waistband, and shot him. Howard has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder. Bowers pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter after shooting and killing her longtime boyfriend, Ray Ingram, in 2017. The defense said Ingram abused Bowers for years and threatened to kill her, so she shot him. Organizers say the charges against these women just further victimizes victims.
Well, if you can imagine survivors, who've managed to get out of extremely violent contexts, violence, that is known to escalate when survivors are trying to leave or escape the violence. There is a lot of data to back that up. These survivors, if they manage to survive, are then being arrested and incarcerated, separated from their families, put into conditions that are all about isolation and deprivation, separated from their children if they have children, and facing a lifetime in prison.
Meantime, inside the courthouse, Howard was before a judge today for a readiness hearing. The judge tentatively set the trial date for March. 17 News is your local election headquarters. It is the day after the last presidential debate. Less contentious than the first, covering more ground, keeping the fact checkers busy. Tracy Potts has a recap.
The presidential candidates back at it today with 11 days to go after a more focused exchange last night.
It was well moderated. They both had the opportunity to get their points across, and you learned more about them.
The second and final presidential debate, calmer than the first.
You know who I am. You know who he is. You know his character. You know my character. You know our reputations for honor and telling the truth.
I am the least racist person in this room.
This time there was substantive conversation on a number of issues, including coronavirus.
We're learning to live with it. We have no choice.
Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it.
And on the minds of American families, health care.
Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option. It'll become Biden care.
This morning on Twitter, President Trump took Biden's debate challenge, posting video of Biden opposing fracking, extracting oil and gas.
No new fracking.
Biden clarified to reporters.
We're not going to get rid of fossil fuels. We're going to get rid of the subsidies for fossil fuels, but we're not going to get rid of fossil fuels for a long time.
The final debate before America decides who should lead. So today, President Trump is off to Florida. He's got a couple of rallies there. Joe Biden doing a speech on COVID-19 and the economy from his home state of Delaware. Tracy Potts, NBC News.
Voters in Kern County continue to vote early. Data from the Secretary of State's office shows that as of Wednesday, more than 85,000 people in the Golden Empire have sent in their ballots so far. That accounts for roughly 20% of Kern's registered voters. The Kern County Elections Office accepted more than 98% of the returned ballots, but did not accept roughly 1,100 of them. We have a call into the Elections Office about why the ballots were not accepted. We'll have an update on numbers ahead on 17 News at 5. And on Sunday, 17th Aide Tom Wallace will take a deeper dive into who has voted so far. A massive fire breaks out in central Bakersfield. It happened around 11:30 last night on 19th Street, just down the street from the federal courthouse. Both city and county fire crews responded to battle the blaze. Officials say when firefighters arrived, they found 2 businesses on fire, as well as pieces of furniture outside the buildings. The Bakersfield Fire Department says it appears the fire started outside the buildings, but the cause is still under investigation. No one was inside at the time of the fire. A man's dead after being shot at a park in southwest Bakersfield. It happened just after 3:30 yesterday afternoon at Seasons Park just off Harrison Stein Roads, just northwest of Costco. Bakersfield police say a man was shot in the chest. He was rushed to the hospital but later died. No information has been released on a shooter or motive. The name of the victim has not been released either. Anyone with information is asked to call BPD at 327-7111. This marks the 110th homicide in Kern County this year by our count. 14 of those have happened in October alone. Now to the latest on the pandemic across the country. The U.S. reported the highest number of daily COVID-19 cases yesterday. According to an NBC News database, the country reported 77,640 new coronavirus cases. The previous highest day for new cases was July 29th, when the country reported 75,723 cases. The total number of cases in the U.S. now stands at more than 8.4 million people, resulting in more than 224,000 deaths. And here are our latest numbers here at home. Kern County Public Health reported 106 new COVID-19 cases this morning. No new deaths were reported. Our death toll currently stands at 416. The department is reporting 10,840 people are isolated at home and 20 are being treated in local hospitals. Our hospitalizations have not been this low since early April. All right, let's take a look outside.
Let's talk about yesterday. We were in the 80s around Bakersfield. In fact, our high was 85 degrees. Now, this morning, it was nice and comfortable. We were seeing the upper 50s. Overnight, it was 58 degrees. And again, our normal high this time of year is in the mid-70s. So that is what we're hoping for today. It looks like we'll be close to where we should be this time of year. Current temperature, 68 in Sacramento, 69 in Fresno, and we have 60s, lower 70s to the south. Vegas comfortable. Right now, Bakersfield sits 11 degrees cooler than where we were yesterday at this time. Fresno down 9 degrees and Los Angeles down 1. Vegas down 8. So you can see we're starting to see the influence of that colder air. Our regional forecast for today, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Fresno at 80, 69 in Morro Bay, 70 in Los Angeles. Even Vegas, not a bad day at 81. Here's a look at the beaches. Pismo Beach, still a little cloud cover, but that will continue to clear out. 69 on the high today with a west-southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And the big headline is a cold pocket of air dropping out of Canada. That is going to bring some weather into parts of Washington, Oregon, Montana, Wyoming. Nothing for us, but it is going to help cool us down. It will also generate some winds as we head into Sunday into the Kern County mountains. Here's a look at our air quality today. Improving, moderate, AQI at 83. And today we'll call for mostly sunny skies, a northwest wind 5 to 10, 77 in Bakersfield, 78 in Delano, 76 in Taft. And then for the mountains, mostly sunny, 73 in Frazier Park, 75 in Tehachapi, and then 80s into the Kern River Valley. And then for the desert, 80 in Mojave. And your extended forecast, I think you're going to like it. Tomorrow, 78, 71 on Sunday, upper 60s by Monday, and then a little bit warmer next week. For the mountains, 67 for your Saturday, a little breezy on Sunday, and 58. And then next week, back into those 70s by midweek. And then for the Kern River Valley, we'll be looking at 76 on Saturday. And then your coolest days come Sunday, Monday, and then right back up into the 80s next Wednesday and Thursday. But overall, a great Friday forecast. I hope everybody will go out and enjoy the day and enjoy the weekend.
We're back in your 17 Health Watch. Throughout the month of October, we are highlighting remarkable women who've overcome breast cancer. Today, 17's Nicole Gitsky introduces us to one woman, whose 13-year journey has given her more than she ever could have imagined.
In 2007, Colleen Gunzick's life changed forever.
I backed away from the dinner table and I accidentally hit my right breast, and my hand went to my breast, and I felt a mass. It wasn't a lump, it was a mass.
Colleen is a retired registered nurse and knew at that moment it wasn't good. The next day, she went in for a biopsy, receiving devastating news.
The MRI showed that the tumor was the size of a baseball, and I had 2 satellite tumors that were the size of a grape.
Colleen went from receiving a negative mammogram just 5 months prior to receiving devastating news that she has an aggressive form of stage 3 breast cancer.
I went to a tumor board and I was told that I needed chemotherapy ASAP. That's what I didn't want to hear. 12 days after I felt the mass, I started chemotherapy. I think that one of the reasons I'm alive is because we acted so fast to get things done.
In a short 9 months, Colleen went through over 6 rounds of chemotherapy, a double mastectomy, and reconstructive surgery. But also in that time, she started living her life with a purpose.
We flew to Hawaii, we flew to Disney World, went to Disneyland, and it slowed me down, but it didn't stop me. And I honestly learned how to dance in the rain.
She says her husband was her helping hand the whole way, making memories and traveling the world. For her, it was making the best out of this scary situation.
I honestly didn't think I would see my 50th birthday. I'm going to be 61 next month, and I am truly celebrating life.
In Northeast Bakersfield, Nicole Gitsky, 17 News.
If you or someone you know is battling breast cancer, we have a full list of resources on our website, kget.com.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.